Your nation, your news. One America News Network.
Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. Accuracy in Media is keeping track of how many days Texas Women's University stays silent after self-described communists, socialists, and anarchists harass young women, including swimmer Riley Gaines, at a ceremonial signing by the governor of legislation to protect women's sports. We've seen this story before with San Francisco State University, as Accuracy in Media found out back in April.
Hey, good morning. What do you think about Riley Gaines being assaulted on campus last week?
If you're transphobic, just say that.
I love being trans. You.
Good that she got assaulted.
A man in a dress punched her.
Hey,
it's almost like she was threatening the safety of trans students on campus.
If violence is the only option that is given to a marginalized group of people, then I don't see what's wrong with it.
What do you think about Riley Gaines getting assaulted after she spoke on campus last week?
I honestly really don't care. Like, yeah, no one should get assaulted, but you knew the area you were coming to, you knew what you were doing, and you knew why you were doing it.
I don't advocate for violence ever, but it was pretty clear that there was going to be a protest of some kind, so I think it kind of should have been expected, honestly.
She knew that there was going to be an adversarial attitude here, right? It's San Francisco State. She came here for a fight, she got a fight.
What do you think about Riley Gaines allegedly getting assaulted after the speech last week?
Didn't happen. Fake news.
Were you there?
Fake news, buddy. Were you there?
I hope that she wasn't assaulted. I think that that's a lie. Personally, I just think it's too...
You think it's a lie?
I'm just conjecturing. I don't know. But a man in a dress, I mean, it's kind of a little bit convenient, wouldn't you say?
One of the protesters was shouting at her, and it's on the video, "I hope you cry, cry. I want to see you cry." That's hateful, right? Wouldn't that be hateful? I want to see that cry too. I don't give a You do? Yeah. A woman shouts at her, "I hope you cry." That's terrible, right?
That's fine.
That's okay to shout at women?
Die.
Were all the people shouting at Riley Gaines engaging in hateful actions?
I guess by the definition of hateful, you could probably put it under that category.
If somebody is being completely nonviolent, should you go up to them and be violent? I would say probably not. What we define as violence is definitely subjective.
Hitting somebody's violence, right?
I would say it is, yes.
Yeah, but so is being transphobic.
So is slander.
Are a lot of people shouting horrible, hateful things at trans people on this campus?
Not on this campus, because here they're safe. Because this is a safe place. And
is it a safe place for Riley Gaines?
Notice how you're a man and you keep interrupting me. Like, I saw interviews, you're supposed to let me finish. Right?
Did you just assume my gender?
Joining us now to discuss this and more is the man himself, Adam Guillette, the president of Accuracy in Media. Adam, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So Riley Gaines attacked at yet another campus. So you go from San Francisco to Texas Women's University. You guys at Accuracy Media, you have a counter. How many days now for Texas Women's University have they been silent on these self-proclaimed socialists, anarchists, and communists attacking, visitors to campus?
Yeah, they're coming up on a week now, and this is a women's university. And the people who protested weren't students. They weren't people voicing their own beliefs and whatnot. These were radical activists who showed up at a women's campus and spit in the face of young girls. What is the point of having a women's university if they can't even keep women safe?
No, that's exactly right. And when you were at the San Francisco campus and you're asking like-minded people about this, as in like-minded, the types of people who attack Riley Gaines and others like her, are you ever just taken aback about how they're so brazen at this point? I mean, some try to lie and say, oh, well, you say harassment happened. I would say it didn't happen. That's fake news. But I mean, others are right up there saying, yeah, and she deserved more. Does that ever just, I don't know, rock you back on your heels and you think, where do I go from here at this point?
You know, I've trained conservatives on college campuses in 48 states. Nothing surprises me anymore. Any campus you show up on, they say, you don't realize what it's like here. It's crazy leftists. They're aggressive. They're violent. That's every campus. Unless you're at maybe Hillsdale or Liberty, it's not a San Francisco State thing. It's not a Berkeley thing. As you see when it occurs in Denton, Texas, it's everywhere. And what shocks me is that so many well-intentioned conservatives and libertarians still donate large amounts of money to their alma mater. They want to assume that that doesn't happen at the school they went to. I'm here to let you know, unfortunately, it's everywhere.
No, that's exactly right. And it really is a shame because I know a lot of people, they want to put money back into their alma maters because then it can help them, when it comes to getting jobs and reputation in the future to say, well, I come from a quote unquote good school. But like you said, the raw underneath, I mean, it's horrific. The universities hate us and the people on campus hate us as well, as we can see, exactly from what we're hearing said about Riley Gaines and the rest. But this Texas law saving women's sports, what's so wrong about this? Can you explain for us what got everyone so riled up in the first place?
Yeah, well, simply as Riley Gaines says, they would like women to be able to have women's sports. They would like to be able to compete against people of the same biological sex as themselves. And personally, I think it seems incredibly reasonable. But even if you don't agree, that's fine. Have a peaceful protest. Knock yourself out. There's never a reason to punch women. There's never a reason to threaten the safety of a woman like they had to at San Fran State, and police had to barricade her for her own safety for an hour and a half. These are the peaceful, loving people of Berkeley and San Francisco who care about us so much that they wear outdoor masks in the year 2023. It's unbelievable, the level of hate, which to me just speaks of fascism. These seem like jackbooted thugs who just want to use violence anywhere to intimidate anyone that they disagree with.
Yeah, and that's what gets me every time, is because I'll even catch it myself. I'll think of some argument and I think, oh, this will be a great counter. I can't wait to deploy it when I'm talking to someone who disagrees on these issues, LGBTQIA+, the Rainbow Mafia, and you name it. But then I catch myself when I think it's like getting someone to admit that the sky is blue. It feels like it's as inane as that. And then you realize, well, of course they're going to pretend to believe these things because they have a political agenda. And so sometimes I catch myself thinking, well, the people are going to scream in my face and spit in my face and the rest. They're not here for a good debate. They're not here to actually counter ideas. And so therefore, we look to perhaps we look for legislation or something to protect what should be so obvious to us all. But as we're talking about here with Texas, we see this fight that broke out on campus, but then also Accuracy Media, you guys are flagging another story happening in Glen Youngkin's, Virginia. The state there passing what seems to be even quite just milquetoast, very common sense legislation saying that, when it comes to locker rooms and school bathrooms and the rest, you use what your biological sex is, except for, and they have to make this exception for where federal law allows, or if you have parent signature allowing you to go to a different bathroom. So again, I'd like to see that strengthened a little, but I mean, as far as it goes, it's good enough. However, though, we're seeing some school administrators, some schools saying, well, we're not going to comply with what the state says. Can you talk to us about what we're seeing in Virginia?
Virginia is perhaps ground zero for insanity in K-12 education. Recently, a story broke about a Facebook group there called Loudoun Love Warriors, which is a group of progressive activists in Loudoun County, Virginia, who were talking about the violence they wanted to inflict upon Christian parents who spoke up at school board meetings. They talked about bringing guns, curb stopping them, physically assaulting them, and elected officials were in the group. So we went to their community with mobile billboards. We went to meet with these elected officials. You know what the response was? They had a detective from the major crimes unit in Loudoun County try to investigate me and insist that I go and meet with them. Simply for calling out elected officials in a group where they called for violence, they sent the law enforcement officers from a major crimes unit after me. That's what we're dealing with in the state that gave us Thomas Jefferson.
It really is enough to make your head spin. And I mean, at this point, as you were saying with the local, you scale that up, look at the DOJ, they'd come after you too as well. You're like, well, wait, look at the evidence we have here of actual violence. And they'll say, no, as we heard from the San Fran kids who soon are going to graduate and go into positions of power too. They'll say, no, your speech and your opinions, that is violence in and of itself. And therefore, somehow you existing, Adam, you just are always the aggressor, I guess. And therefore, that can allow them to use these jackbooted tactics. I mean, is that the scary place that we're in now?
Well, I'll tell you, when I go to some of these campuses, I have to bring security. And one time we got so many threats, our security called for backup. But it's always a good sign that you're getting shot at because it means you're flying over the target. These kids have never had anybody go after them. They've never had to take a metaphorical punch, so they don't know how to handle it. When we send billboards to their homes or their place of employment, simply telling people what they did. And that's how we can win. We think that the fight against college campuses means we must go after administrators. No, the fight needs to be going after the kids engaged in these terrible acts. They need to realize that their actions will have consequences. Our website, don'thitwomen.com, allows people to send one message to the administrators at the university in Texas. But as you're going to see from Accuracy in Media, we are consistently going to hold these perpetrators of violence accountable until they apologize for their actions.
When security needs security and you have to have a website that says the obvious, as we were saying earlier, don't hit women, we're in a crazy, crazy world. But Adam, as always, thanks for exposing and thanks for joining us tonight.